Hi, I'm Greg Pruitt, president of Honor Idaho, and we have got kind of a big investigation that we have been working on and some information about some political ads that have come out that we have talked to a ton of people regarding what these ads are and who the organization is behind them. It is April 16th, 2026. And let's get into this deep dive. We've got some ads that the SOS, we've asked the SOS to look into. We have a statement from the Idaho Attorney General, Raul Labrador, regarding these ads, and just some really weird stuff surrounding the organization that put it out. And so, everything I'm going to talk about today and discuss is an investigation we've been working on behind the scenes. And, we're not alleging any criminal activity necessarily. It's just people want to know who's behind a lot of these ads. And I'll start off with this. I think I don't have a lot of respect for organizations who hide behind all the legal paperwork and don't make themselves known. If you're going to launch these types of disgusting and deceitful ads, at the very least, have a website, have a Facebook page, have your names, your board members out there so that it can be criticized. If you're going to go out and say a lot of this stuff, you should be willing to stand in front of the camera, just like I'm doing right now, Honor Idaho and Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. You can always find all of our public documents, but you can also find our website and everything about our organization. And there's every election cycle we see this, all these organizations that pop up out of nowhere, completely deceptive. There's nothing about them, and they just launch just so they can launch some ads and then go back and do nothing. And I just don't have a lot of respect for people that operate that way. I think if you're going to get in the public sphere, you're going to get in the trenches, then get in like the rest of us and take your punches like a man. So with that being said, I started getting a bunch of texts regarding some ads that I thought were really weird. And I actually reached out to a couple of lawmakers and I'm like, what is this about? What is happening here? What bill are they even talking about? And there's various bills that kept coming up. But here's one of the ads. This was a piece of literature. Okay, let me hide the captions there for a minute. Here's one that went out against Senator Zeiderveld, and basically accusing her of defending online predators. And we're going to get into, it says finals vote count 18 to 17, paid for by Idaho Values First. Okay, that's what we're going to focus on first. And then we'll go back to the ad because there's just some weird stuff with that particular ad. So I see that ad, and then there were some TV ads that were also running allegedly, because I'd heard from multiple candidates, multiple lawmakers who said they saw the same ad against them. And so I said, okay, who the heck is Idaho Values First? I've never heard of this organization. And so that's when I got into a deep dive, so to speak, on trying to figure out who this is, because you Google Idaho Values First and look for a website, and there's no website, and there's no Facebook page. And I did eventually find a YouTube channel, but that only started April 9th. So a week ago, they started a YouTube channel and dumped a bunch of these YouTube ads on there. And I assume at the very least, the TV ads that they're doing are people who have maybe subscription ads through their TV. I don't know if they're using the TV stations or not in these areas, but they're, at the very least, what we've heard is that these ads are running, and some of them have 14,000 views, 6,000 views, 19,000 views, 26,000 views. I mean, they are clearly pushing these ads somewhere to get that many views on a brand new YouTube channel. That just doesn't happen. So digitally, they are pushing them somewhere. We just don't know where yet, but it's popping up on people's TVs allegedly. And we've heard that from a number of folks. And I don't want to share the videos because the AG's office has said they're deceptive and they're inaccurate. So I don't necessarily want to put those out there, but you can find them if they're out there. And I actually have a screenshot of a video screenshot that somebody took of the ad playing on their TV. So I do have that as well. But again, I don't want to play it just because the AG's office says they're deceitful and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So Excuse me. So then I go on to the Idaho Secretary of State's website to see, is this a registered business? And it is. Okay. A registered business in good standing. It is a nonprofit corporation. I assume, given the type of ads that they're allegedly running, I would assume that it's a C4. Okay, just like Honor Idaho is a C4. When you're a C4, you can do a lot more political stuff. C3, you can't do very much. It's really, really tight knit on what you can do. And so my presumption would be that it's a C4, but it's in good standing. Okay. And I thought, all right, well, there's at least something. It's a registered business. So then what I did was, if you go into the business search, you can go view the history of any company, any organization that's registered with the SOS office. And so I looked at the initial incorporation, which was in, I believe, September of 2021. And these are the three names listed. And so I started doing a quick search. And the one that caught my eye was the person who incorporated this back in 2021, which was Merrill Baylor, who is a former lawmaker, a Republican lawmaker. But then we jump forward here. Okay, now I'm going to pull up. It got dissolved. So he started it, and these other two individuals that you saw there. And I've blurred. The addresses are all public record. Okay, you can see them. Everybody will be able to see them. But I didn't want, again, I'm not trying to dox anybody or anything like that. It's just we're trying to verify and figure out who the heck all these people are. So anyway, so he starts it in September 2021. By December, the organization's been dissolved. And then you'll see in October of the following year is an application for reinstatement. Now, on the reinstatement, again, blotting out, the names. There's a name: Cheryl Miller, Judith Ellis, and Rolando Ruano. Okay, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing people's names. So those are three completely new, different names. So somebody, I don't know if Merrill and maybe the other people were like, sure, you can have this name. I don't know if those people have any relation to these people, but three completely new names: the president, Cheryl Miller, the vice president, Judith Ellis, and the secretary, Rolando Ruano. We're going to do some focusing on Rolando because his name comes up in a variety of other things. But it was kind of interesting that it's just completely different names. Okay. So then I got wondering, well, do they have a lobbyist? Do they have someone that goes in and does lobbying? And you'll notice here's the Idaho Values First Foundation, okay, the nonprofit, and there's Rolando Ruano, who is their registered lobbyist. Fantastic, right? You gotta, if you're gonna go down and do any kind of lobbying at the Capitol, and you're gonna spend more than like a couple $100, you're gonna have to have a registered lobbyist. And so there he is as the registered lobbyist. So we'll look. He's had a couple reports this year. Okay, didn't spend any money. You can see the grand total up here is $0, but he filed there. He filed another one in April saying that they spent no money. That part is important because there are reporting requirements that have to be done for indirect lobbying. And so we had some questions for the SOS. There's all sorts of new laws. And if I'm being honest, they're not all super clear. Okay, there's some really weird nuances and all that kind of stuff. And so we asked the SOS office, hey, are you able to run all these kind of ads and do all this kind of stuff as a nonprofit and not have it be indirect lobbying? So I guess we'll see. We'll see what they say. Okay, so you got these new board members. You've got this Rolando guy. So then we've thought, okay, these ads that are coming out are really deceiving, and we'll get to the AG statement here in just a minute. But I started seeing ads, or if you go to the YouTube channel, there's Representative Burgoyne. Okay, she's down in southern Idaho. Senator Cole, who's in the Twin Falls area. Senator Zeiderveld, who's in the Twin Falls area. Senator Kaiser, who's in the Boise area. Representative Ehart, who's in Idaho Falls. Senator Zito, who is in uh, Mountain Home. And all of the YouTube videos and all of these ads, and Senator Foreman, I'm sorry, and Senator Foreman, who's up north. And we saw, so those are all the ads that they're running, is on all of those lawmakers. And it's all about the exact same issue. And we're, first of all, we haven't been able to figure out yet why these people. And you'll kind of understand that in a minute. But there's a wide spectrum of people there. You've got people who are, a lot of people call the Gang of Eight. Okay, 3 of their senators. You've got Representative Ehart, though, who's down here. Senator Foreman, who's way up north, and their voting records are kind of all over the place. Right? There's no Democrats in here. Maybe no one that most people would say are like super rhino or anything like that. But we can't figure out why these particular people. It's kind of strange grouping of individuals that they've chosen to put in these ads. So we looked at the voter rolls. I had an individual I know. He was able to go and look at the voter rolls, and of course, I think all of them. No, 2 of them are registered. The 2 gals are registered as Republican, and I think Rolando may be independent right now, if I remember correctly. But Rolando and Judith Ellis have both voted in the Democrat primaries. So they've clearly, in my opinion, crossed over into voting in Republican stuff. The other gal, Cheryl Miller, who's the president of the organization, I am told is running for PC in the Ada County Republican area, but I'm told she's been a Republican forever. And so how she got involved with these 2 Democrats, I don't know. And one of them isn't just a Democrat. Rolando is allegedly a full-blown Bernie loving socialist. So he is also a immigration attorney. So this is a picture of Rolando Ruano. Okay, immigration attorney, fine, fantastic. You got your own business going on there. That's great. Here's one of his posts from earlier this year. MAGAs and the Trump goons don't want you to believe your eyes. They only want you to believe whatever you want. Whatever Trump tweets out, okay, whatever. Hashtag abolish ICE. Hashtag Chingala Migra. Sorry, I don't speak Spanish. So I have no idea what that means. He was involved apparently in allegedly, if you go to his profile, there's a video of him. I think he was maybe helping one of his clients, and then the court case got over in Canyon County, and I think he said that ICE was there basically waiting to take the individual into custody. So he's not a big fan of ICE, at least from what we can tell on his thing. Okay, defund ICE. This might have been the you can kind of see part of the title there. Man taken into ICE custody moments after his case was dismissed or whatever it is. Okay, so then we get to some more. It's hard to keep my cool and be civil with MAGA voters, especially with MAGA Latinos. You voted for this BS. Chino Man said he would deport criminals, so he goes after hardworking people. He labels all of us criminals and then comes after our community. F Donald Trump and F MAGA. Okay, and then here he is in a Bernie Sanders shirt, which I believe, if I remember correctly, was from 2020. So that's not exactly, again, I don't know what the tie-in is here necessarily between him and some lady who's, according to the voter rolls, I think she's in her mid to upper 70s, both of the ladies, but the one, Cheryl Miller, who's a Republican, are both in their upper 70s. So it's really strange. Like, I have no idea how this guy got involved with these 2 ladies, other than the one lady is a Democrat too, right? So they're both Democrats, so it doesn't surprise me necessarily that they're working together and all that kind of stuff. But this was really strange. At the same time, Cheryl Miller, again, blotted out her address there so everybody can see, donated to, that donation in particular is to the abortion effort. Well, that's one thing I guess you could donate to. So she donated to the Idahoans for women's health or whatever that group is that's pushing this abortion, baby killing initiative. And then she also has a bunch of donations. So this one, again, this is her address, and this address matches the address. Let's see, that's the initial. The address there matches this address here. I've blotted it out. You can go verify it yourself. I encourage everyone to, don't take my word for any of this stuff. This is what I was able to find. But that address here matches the address on this donation to the abortion group, and she's done a couple of those donations, and this one is to Phil McGrain, the Secretary of State. She's also given to Governor Little and a number of other, most people would say, more moderate candidates. So this is just kind of crazy. And again, I wanted to show you this because these people hide behind a lot of stuff. There's no open website that you can go and just learn about these, or a lot of these organizations. There are groups like Reclaim Idaho, who I don't agree with on probably anything. At least they're willing to put their name out there and a website and all that kind of stuff. And, Luke's out there on Facebook and on video and stuff. Again, I don't agree with him, but I at least respect the people who take that route versus just doing this kind of stuff. So now let's get back to the ads. So first, we're going to cover, and I think I can share this here. I want to cover AG Labrador's. Let's see here, screen share. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. So this is from AG Labrador, and it's titled, I'm just going to read the whole thing in its entirety because I think it's important. AG Labrador calls out deceptive and shameful political attacks exploiting child protection efforts. Okay, so you're going to hear a lot about this internet crimes against children. I've actually interviewed Nick, who is their commander for ICAC, and did an interview with him. They do incredible work. Okay, they're going out trying to find these people who are targeting children online, and they do awesome work. Okay. AG Labrador issued the following statement in response to misleading political advertisements falsely invoking his office in the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit, or ICAC. During the 2026 legislative session, after across-the-board budget cuts, the Idaho legislature approved a partial restoration of the Attorney General's budget, including resources to continue supporting the ICAC unit. Quote, this is a quote from Labrador. Idahoans are being deliberately misled. A political organization calling itself Idaho Values First is running ads that falsely claim certain legislators voted against funding for my office's Internet Crimes Against Children unit. That claim is misleading and flatly untrue. The ads refer to an across-the-board 5% budget cut that affected every state agency, not a targeted vote against my office or ICAC. HB 971 was the budget enhancement bill that partially restored my office's funding, including all resources that support the ICAC unit. The legislators these ads attack voted for the enhancement bill. These ads are attempting to manipulate voters, not inform them. If it were about accountability, the legislators who voted against HB 971 would be targeted by these ads, yet they are not. Using legislative votes in political messaging is fair. Twisting those votes into false narratives is not. And dragging the work of my office and the mission of protecting children into a knowingly dishonest attack is a new low. My ICAC investigators do difficult, often heartbreaking work to protect children from online predators. Idaho families deserve honesty and transparency, not cynical attacks that exploit the real work being done to keep children safe. Okay, so that's from AG Labrador. Now, we're gonna jump over because he's talking about HB 971. So right here, let me see how I can flip this. Okay, share screen. Oop. Get back over to because the bill that he's talking about, it's interesting. It does. I'm trying to, how do I stop the screen share here? I don't want to go there. Give me 1 second here. The bill, it was almost a party line vote. And so I am trying to figure this out. I apologize. Got to be an end share screen on here. And I know later on I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, here it is. Let's see. Maximize, customize, replace. Oh, okay, here. Let's do that. Now I'll show you this one. Okay, so here's the bill that he's referencing. And all the people I've mentioned above are part of the people who voted yes on this budget bill. And then what he's talking about is the people that voted against it. And I'm not, that's not to say the people voted against it, again, you wouldn't. I think everybody in the state house wants to protect kids from online predators, right? So there's probably some disagreements about how the budget was handled or whatever. There was a lot of budget cuts this year across the board because of everything that's going on with our overspending, if I'm being frank. Okay, so he's talking about this here. Now, let's go back to this ad. Okay, take a look at this ad again. You'll notice trying to talk about the same thing here, voted to cut funds. And then they have a bill number 1157, which is great and all, except there's no 1157 from this year. All right. There's 1157 from last session, which has to deal with, if I remember correctly, this was, amends existing law to revise declarations of candidacy for independent candidates and for president and vice president. And you can see here 35-0 unanimous, 65-0 unanimous. There was 5 people that weren't there, so those don't count. So it was unanimous vote in both chambers. So then I went back to, let me go to a different one here. All right. So I'm going to show you the other bill that I looked at from the previous year, which was from the 2023 session, which would have been another 1157. So typically, if you don't know, the legislature goes through two separate, golly, I am trying to flip this back over to the next one. Give me 1 sec. Oh, there we go. Replace. That's what I did. Okay. Then we'll go. Must have been this one here. Yeah, this one here. So this is from 2023. And you can see there that bill went nowhere and it had nothing to do with ICAC either. So there we go. Okay. I fixed that crap. About time. Good grief. So this is, again, just, it's not necessarily uncommon. Everybody complains about the ads during this session. This one just felt a lot different than what I've seen in the past. It just felt really weird and just out of the ordinary for the ads that they were trying to claim to do. Because again, the ad didn't have anything to do with, if you go back to it here, again, some vote count that doesn't exist on a bill number that doesn't exist. And this is what went out to a bunch of voters in the area. So, you could twist some ads sometimes and stuff. But for me and for our organization, it's about who is really behind this stuff. Why are they doing it? And are they following all the same rules that we all have to follow? And that's the big questions at the end of the day. So anyway, I hope you guys have found this video useful. I know it's a little bit long, but I'm hoping that we can get to the bottom of it. There is some additional information out there about the funding that this organization has received, and other info that we are trying to verify, but with AG's statement coming out, we wanted to make sure we let you guys know that we've found a lot of other information that is good for voters to know. And we may have a second video coming out eventually on some other information that would probably be useful, but we're trying to verify it and make sure it's all as accurate as possible. So thank you guys for tuning in. Take care. God